we were as broke could be. We'd asked for King Soopers gift cards for Christmas. We had nothing at all. We just said, what if we just tried something on our own? So I took what I call my 2-hour leap of faith, and it was one of the biggest blessings of my life.
Today, I'd like to introduce you to Amy Tallent. Amy and her husband Jessy not only own and manage 3 businesses, but also manage the time to take care of their 3 wonderful children. At any one time, you'll find Amy managing events, handling advertising, and even taking time to help other women in the community grow and prosper. You know, I've always thought, cartoons and stuff were cool, and I believed in Superman to a certain extent,
Yep.
but now I know that I met Superwoman.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It's very cool. Amy, we've known each other an awful long time.
We have.
But I don't think we've ever talked to the level that we've done on this as much as we did before. I mean, sitting
Right.
down here, we've actually talked about, some of our personal things, and you're very successful, and I've always known that, and you're a person people like to be around. But
thank you. That's nice of you.
you started somewhere, and I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, I am actually raised by an entrepreneur. My dad was a custom home builder, and I fell in love with owning your own life and owning your own schedule, and being there for my kids, always. And that was top priority. And so when I was growing up, I didn't envision that I would be the business owner. I really thought I'd be a stay-at-home mom. But I consistently say to my husband all the time, I'm so glad God didn't listen to me. I have such a better life because I leapt into the life that he gave me, and it's phenomenal. I love my life. I love what I get to do.
We walk down here, we see all these signs and everything, and we go, wow, this guy's doing great business, and this person's doing great business. But they don't know that story of trying to get there.
Yeah.
And not everybody starts out wham, bam, hey, thank you, I'm making money. Most of us start out tough.
Yes.
And I'm sure you did too.
Yep, grit's a big word in our life. It's true. And adaptability is a huge word in our life. Things change and things grow, and you have to lean into that, and you have to adapt with it. And so my husband and I are high school sweethearts. We got married young, and we had our first kiddo shortly after getting married. And at that time, we were as broke could be. We were on
everyone
food
starts that
stamps.
way.
We were living in my parents' property, which was such a great gift. His family was helping us a ton. I mean, we'd asked for King Soopers gift cards for Christmas. We didn't have anything. There was a time when we needed to choose diapers and toilet paper. I mean, we had nothing at all. And it was the hardest season of my life, and yet sometimes I wish I could go back to it, if that makes any sense. So we ended up, I was working at multiple different jobs, my husband was working at multiple different jobs, and we just said, what if we just tried something on our own? And at that time I launched what was called the Invisible Secretary, and it was on-call administration work. And from there, most of my clients were asking me for marketing support and helping with social media, which was launching more at that time. And so almost all of my clients were doing that, so that led into the Tallent Company, which was our communications firm. And I took what I call my 2-hour leap of faith. I was working at the fire district. My husband was also a firefighter at the time. I was the public information officer, and I was on call 24/7, 365. If something happened, if there was a car accident and it was newsworthy, I was going back to work and dealing with it, which doesn't happen during normal business hours. Car accidents happen at rush hour.
That's true.
So I'd drive home and I'd drive back, and so there was a season of life where it was so hard to be a young mom and be on call 24/7, 365.
Oh my gosh, I bet it was.
We couldn't do it anymore, and there just became a point, and my husband was a firefighter, so he was gone for 48 hours at a time. And so there's just a point where I said I couldn't do it anymore. And so I took what I call my 2-hour leap of faith, where I went to my fire chief, who is an excellent man and a trustworthy man, and I went and said, I can't do this anymore. And so I'm going to start my own company, the Tallent Company. And so from there, he went to a meeting, and he came back and he said, what if we're your first client?
Oh, wow.
And it was one of the biggest blessings of my life, that immediately I had everything I thought I was going to lose. And he gave that to us, and he gave us a chance to start our business.
Wow.
And from there it took off.
Wow. So, I guess it's one of the things when people want to start a business, they don't have the things unless you have a mentor, you don't have the answers.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things, one of the places where people really drop off when starting a business is having a mentor who's already been there and done that is huge.
True.
And that brings me to another topic. You don't only do business. You actually, how many things are you involved in? You're probably in boards. You're doing the buffalo, what are the barbecue days?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all these different things.
We say we live in the land of three. So we have three kids that go to three different schools. I'm on three boards. We have three businesses total right now. So we just say we live in the land of three for some reason.
That's awesome. And then Jessy, I mean, I've got footage of you guys where you're a team.
Yes,
we
are.
You're feeding the kids. You've got this routine.
Yep.
That's the one thing I think that's just blown me away. I'll tell you what, let's go across here.
That sounds good.
Yeah. The one thing that's just blown me away is the amount of things you get done in a day. I know for a fact that you are actually doing stuff at school. You know, your kids are not suffering whatsoever, right?
No, that's the main reason we do what we do, is that I'm there for the kids. I don't miss anything for the kids ever.
Yeah. And so you've got that. I see, you know, when you're helping the kids out in the morning, I mean, you get this routine to where everyone's doing their deal, and you and Jessy are talking about the things you can do or where he needs to pick up, and Jessy being, I mean, he's a pretty awesome guy.
Yeah, he's my
I don't
Superman.
like being around him because he makes me look bad.
He's crucial to me having any success in life whatsoever. My husband believes in me. He supports me. It's the catch-all, and no one really realizes what he does in our business and our life, because he's fine being so behind the scenes. But there is no success of my life without my husband. Absolutely none. He is my best friend, and he is my teammate in parenthood, in marriage, in business, and he makes sure we keep going. I mean, he calls himself the immovable rock, and I'm the unstoppable force. And so when I come home and I'm like, hey, we're going to do this great idea, he's going to go one of two directions. He's going to say either, yes, we are, you run hard, I've got everything here, or he's going to say, we sure as heck are not doing that, Amy. Like, move on. No.
I know, I get the same thing from Ginger, but it's a good collaboration.
It is.
You know, having somebody who can actually pull you back when you're going too far, but having you, that driving force that gets you there. You
need realistic, and you need a visionary.
Yeah,
we were talking about that earlier. The visionary is important too, but so is the realistic person.
Yeah. If you can marry up with one of those,
yes,
your hair's going to go gray, but you're going to stay alive.
That's very true. Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah, I haven't got to blow. You know, I don't do color in my hair. Maybe I should. I don't know. But you know, I love that what you're doing. So much of it seems like is, you know, you and I, we seem to have a different currency. You know, we're not about, well, we're about money. I mean, that's what entrepreneurship is about. Right. But we're about collecting smiles. You know, like you said, what was it, giggle factor?
Yes, I have a giggle factor. So one of the things in our marketing firm is that we host events for clients. So one that we just did recently was the Day of Play for the Children's Museum of Northern Colorado. And while everyone there was feeling it was successful because of the amount of people we had and the amount of groups that were involved in partnerships, which is all amazing factors to include, I judge by one thing, which is what I call the giggle factor. And if I can walk around and I hear families giggling and playing all day, or when I sell a house and I see the kids come into it for the first time and they run to their rooms and they're giggling about what they're going to do, where are they going to carve pumpkins, where are they going to put the tree, where can the fort go? I mean, that is true happiness right there. That is why I will do it over and over again.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think that the neatest part of it, us being in a really small town, is there's, you know, it's not you see them once and they're gone. You know, you see what that giggle does over a period of time.
It grows.
You can become a part of their lives. Yeah, I like that as well. And
you know, I love that in our line of work, it's not a one-stop shop relationship. It's not, for me, it's not sell the house and move on. It's now we're Facebook friends, and I get to see the kids growing up in that house, and I get to see them take their school pictures in front of the house. And and even in the marketing firm, we love having long-term relationships where we see what we did helped them grow farther. And that's what it really means.
I know my daughter. Well, our whole family just loves you.
Oh, we love your whole family.
It's like we keep coming around every stage of our lives. We go, oh, there's Amy again.
That's how I feel with you. I was just telling Jessy that today. You know you're on the right path when you run into the right people.
Well, I'm sorry you're on the wrong path. No, I love the fact that we can actually come in and do something like this. You're my very first interview, and I always thought, you know, if I want to do something right, if I want to do something, I want to do it right. And literally, I feel like I couldn't have talked to a better person.
Oh, that's really kind
Yeah,
of you.
you know,
I feel
think
honored
we're
to be
both
your
growing
first person.
in business. I'm 61. You're 25. No, okay.
Not anymore. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but you know, there's that entrepreneurship that I think is in my blood. I know Grandpa got me into this. I never knew my grandfather, but he was an entrepreneur, and I think he's got it. My daughter's got it. My son's got it.
Yeah, they do.
What do you think about your kids?
Oh, they've already started. And so our oldest, he writes books. He creates board games. We're a big board game family. And so he's done that. My middle kiddo started doing it. Josephine wants to sell tennis lessons. Never played tennis in her life. We went and played it one day, and she's like, I think I'll teach people how to do this, Mom, and they can pay me.
Oh my gosh.
So it's something they think of, and it's in my blood, and it's in their blood.
Wow.
And really one reason I want it for them is the same reason I want it for me, because I can do just about anything in life as long as I have the freedom to be able to get it done how it should be done.
Yeah.
And I want my kids to be able to have freedom to make good choices and do the right thing. And when you work sometimes in corporate America, you can't make that decision. You have to do what you're told.
Exactly. And this is supposed to be about you, but I got to say this one thing.
Good.
The other day, so I was a good kid all along. I mean, all the beatings, they worked out. Right? But when it came down to school, I wasn't the best kid. And so I never could get in and just really enjoy a lecture or anything. And recently, I ended up seeing a class it was a Harvard class about business and marketing, and I'm like, I gotta check this out.
Yeah, I'm
I've
interested.
never enjoyed anything quite like I did there, and I go, why?
Yes.
And suddenly I realized it's for me.
Right.
I'm not out there to perform for anybody else.
Yes.
It is for me, and I think business is, and one of your successes possibly is because you've looked at things and you said, this is the way I want it to be.
Yes.
And you've gone outside the box where other people would just be constrained.
Yeah, I think that it's one of the biggest reasons that I'm able to be successful in life is that I've created the freedom to make the right choices, the things you're supposed to do in this world, not the things that people tell you to do in this world. And so I work with women all the time to figure out who were they created to be, not necessarily who their major told them to be, who their parents told them to be. What are your actual skill sets in life? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you're doing it in the way you're supposed to be doing it and caring for people in the way you're doing it. I remember all the time about a story of a woman that worked in customer support, I think for TiVo, T-Mobile, something like that.
Yeah.
And she landed there, and it was the best job she ever had because she got to help people, and that's what she wanted to do. And she said, I don't care what I do as long as I'm helping people. That's all I need to be happy.
Isn't that funny?
And we so focus on what is the job title, what is the job work, and it really needs to be broken down. What were you gifted to be able to do in this life?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm kind of to the point in life to where, I'm 61 years old and I'm ready to, I don't know, for some reason I'm ready to modify, I think.
Yeah, ooh, I like that word. That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to stop. I love my job and I love what I do. And more than anything, I really enjoy people. And, luckily a friend talked me into doing this YouTube thing. That's where I get to find out all of Amy Tallent's tricks of the trade.
I've got quite a bit. I mean, we're actually putting it in books right now and things like that because, as you were talking about earlier, mentors are so important to be able to be good on your own. Unfortunately, as an entrepreneur, it's hard to find good mentors. And you might trust mentors and find out that they're going to burn you and they don't actually want what's best for you. And I've unfortunately had that experience a couple times, but there's a lot of the job I had to learn by myself how to do because there just weren't mentors that wanted to give back. Yeah. And so, as I mentioned before, we were poor, we were barely making it. So now we make sure that people are making it, that kids are taken care of. Same way in mentorship. I didn't have the mentorship I wanted, so now we are the mentors that we wanted.
Isn't that nice? Yeah. And it's once again, you get those little giggle moments and smile and things that are really the payoff moments.
Yep. You know, I had, under the Talent Company, we had a great set of people working with us and it was fantastic. And now I get to watch these people that worked with us that swore when they sat by us. I'm never going to start my own company, ever.
Yeah.
And now they are so successful, and it is so much fun to watch.
You know,
Best
I think maybe it's because they're the more cautious people. You know, I had to learn the hard way.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I was gung ho. Let's go. Poor Ginger. I don't know if she's just stupid or what, but she's still with me. But she was such a great support.
She is, yep. And I love watching your guys' marriage of the visionary and the realistic and everything we were talking about before. It takes, especially if you don't have a mentor in this situation, it takes a partner to be able to understand.
Yeah, it does.
I have a dream and I need your help following it.
Yeah. I always joke about, you know, I really would have I'd have made a great janitor.
I want to hear why.
Because I didn't have to think.
Yes.
I sweep.
Yeah,
I sweep.
I get that.
You know, one of the things that you're so well involved with in entrepreneur is actually changing with the times.
Mm-hmm. You have to be.
Yeah, you know, marketing is nothing that's consistent. Mm-hmm. You have your bare bones things that you have to, you know, it's like any kind of theory. Mm-hmm. One of the things I didn't learn in college was theory. Mm-hmm. And I was so kind of depressed after the fact. I go, you know, theory is the basis for everything.
It is.
You know, it's like, you know, your ground teaching as a child. If you're taught good, you base everything off that. If you're taught bad, you're probably going to have a different kind of a life.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it depends how you learn from that bad. Do you shut down and are you over, or do you learn and you grow?
And mine was a really bad, every time I screwed up, it was bad.
Yep.
Oh, it was so bad. It would take me down for months. Things would take me down for years, you know, just that general idea that I was bad.
Yeah, and sometimes I find that as much as I'm successful in areas of life, there's an opposite side of that too. That when I do something wrong, I'm really going to do it wrong. As much as I would do something successful, I will fail it just as hard.
Yeah, and you're pushing the edge.
It is. And sometimes, and one thing that's really difficult in my life is that, you know, success builds on success. Well, sometimes failure builds on failure. And so sometimes I would find all of a sudden multiple things would just fail.
Yeah.
And it's part of the mental capacity of being an entrepreneur, but sometimes it's just, no, you're really going to get guided into what you should not be doing.
That is exactly, and I'm glad you put it that way, because it's a guide. Mm-hmm. It's not, you know, one of the little, I don't know what you would call it, scenarios, I guess, that I always use was, you know, if you're climbing up a ladder, if you're going upstairs, okay, and suddenly you reach a stair and you step on it, it cracks. Okay, what do? You go all the way back down the stairs and find another one to go up? No, you find a way around that stair.
Yeah, or you rebuild the stair.
Exactly, and that's what entrepreneurship is. You know, for somebody to be in the failure mode and look at it as failure, that's not where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of it is, so we have the communication firm, and a lot of our work is with government entities, teaching them how to communicate to their citizens, because we believe that when you take tax dollars, you need to say what you're doing with those tax dollars, and you need to have relationships with your citizens and with the people you serve. And so a lot of that work that we did was community outreach and helping facilitate events, creating one-on-one conversations between town councils or firefighters and the people they serve, like making sure kids aren't scared of firefighters in bunker gear and things like that. That was a lot of the work we did. And so COVID hit and everything shut down. We weren't allowed to be around people. A lot of the people we serve, like firefighters and police officers, had to focus on taking care of people. They could not focus on community outreach at that time. And so we almost got completely shut down. And then we really learned that we had to lean into digital communication like we never had before. Because we had to talk to people still. We all got so isolated and scared in coronavirus, but the entities we were working for were authorities in the community, and they still needed to have a very large voice to their community, and the only way we could do that was digital. And it worked wonderfully. It really did. And it actually built stronger relationships, and we're really happy the work we did in it, but it required a overnight adjustment in our business.
That's for sure. You know, one of the nice things that I've done through the years is worked with, you know, videotape. I get into places where I probably would never be invited whatsoever. Big company meetings and things where they're talking about their skill. You know, they're talking about things that nobody else hears. One of the most valuable ones I ever heard was, stay in front of the inevitable. And that was one of the big things when COVID hit. You know, I kept that in mind, and I'd made the changes anticipating certain things would happen. I built a business that was profitable in one day. It literally went from 0 to 50, like
Yep.
that, and it was hard to keep up with, but it was one of those things to where if I hadn't already had that in my mind and understand that theory, that whole COVID thing would have been a disaster.
Yeah, could have shut you down real
Yeah.
fast. Yeah, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you really have to be prepared that things are going to shift overnight. You have
Yeah.
no control over anything that's happening in this world. Real estate's one of the ones that's really just knocked us on our feet a couple times because I can't control interest rates. I can't control when people are going to buy or sell their homes.
No.
And I also have had to learn that I can't control how people take care of their homes either,
Yeah.
and if they're able to be sold or not. And so while we have things that we work all around that, it has been a ginormous wake-up call that I am not control of everything, whether I
Yes.
want to be or not.
No.
Which I have
no.
learned I do not want to be in control of everything.
Oh, no. Well, what amazes me is I saw, don't you have, okay, you don't just have a real estate license. Aren't you a brokerage?
Yep, I am an employing broker, so I have 4 team members that are just incredible, and they're all women. Actually, we did not design it that way. It's just how I came in that way. But I have to say there is something really incredible about a woman's heart in business, and I love working with these women.
That's awesome. That is really cool. Once again, you're making giggles.
I am, and it is.
People are giggling.
It's fun, and it's so much fun to talk to women about you. I hate the phrase "you can have it all." Really can't have it all, because you can't. It's like the same phrase: you can't be anything you want in the world, because you weren't created to be anything in the world. You were created to be something in the world.
Yeah.
So we don't teach our kids that you can be anything you want. We teach our kids what are your skill sets, what are they great at, and things like that. And it's the same thing when you're building women up as well, and trying to teach women is that you don't have to be it all, but you need to know what you're really good at in certain areas of life, and then outsource the rest of that. And that also includes motherhood as well as running a business.
Yeah.
I don't really shop for groceries very much. I have a very organized list of when I buy groceries, and either I outsource that or ask someone for help, or I get them delivered or things like that.
Yeah.
When my business has a ton of deals going on, I've got to outsource and ask somebody to clean the house, because that's
right.
a clean house is a clean mind, and it makes me work better.
Oh, you're not kidding. I don't know if it's ginger or what, but I'm a clean freak now. Oh my gosh.
You know, my sweet, messy Jessy husband, that I call him, as much as he would say that he does not like a clean house and it does not matter to him, that man gets a lot more stuff done in his business life when we have things in order.
That's right.
But he can fight me on it all he wants verbally. I'm fine with that. I know the truth. I'll move past it.
I can cut this part out if you want.
No, I tell him this to his face all the time. I'm like, sure, you don't need that clean. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're going to do it anyways, because it'll make me feel better, sweetie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think finding the right spouse is just absolutely a necessity.
It is.
And
Finding your tribe is really a necessity.
That is, and you do tribal work all the time with people. You know, you've had the women's groups.
We do.
It's one of those things where you have a persona in the community as the leader.
You know, I've really been blessed that I know my gift in life is to build other women up and to make sure they know what they're capable of.
So I'm just screwed. I'm not a woman. I'm going to lose out here, all right?
I don't know why it is. I wish I would say that it was all people. And there's some people I feel like I can speak into their hearts. But I know for a fact that I am destined to guide women home in their faith, in themselves, in their marriage, in their business, in their children's life, in their family. We have steered so far away from what we were created to do in this world to conform to what the world tells us to do, and we have to be guided back to our inner home.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose in life.
That's awesome. I think COVID was one of those big misdirections, you know, where we go, oh, hey, look, so this little corner here, another entrepreneurial lady.
Oh, I love it.
She actually had a little stand there.
Oh, that's right.
And it was so cool to stop there and talk and buy the fruits and stuff.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know why it is about entrepreneur stuff. You know, when I thought about doing this channel, you know, I could have easily gone with men entrepreneurs, but I wanted somebody smart.
I love that, and I'm so going to remember that.
Okay, now I'm going to get beat up.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Oh, man. So it's this neighborhood right after the lake. You'll see all those houses. My dad built about 6 of those ones.
To the left?
Yes. So
all
not
right.
This first one. You'll go over the hill a little bit.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. I feel like there's going to be a great little video in right now.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you're very, very smart, very well spoken, very everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm either really well spoken or I'm not. When I was with the fire district, for some reason I could not. I was the PIO, so I would talk to media, And for some reason, I could not get it right with CBS4. They'd show up, and I don't know what threw me off my game, but they would re-ask me the same questions 5,000 times, so I would answer it better, and I never could do it, ever.
Wow.
Channel 9, Channel 7, Fox 31, totally fine. CBS4 shows up, I am a wreck.
Isn't that crazy? Is this the one right here?
This is, yeah.
Okay, and so tell me, what's going on right here?
So my dad is a custom home builder, and many of these homes in here, I think 6 in here, are actually his. So he's done this one and these ones right here.
Wow.
But I had a love for home very early and very young, not only because my dad was a custom home builder, but because my mom loved to make a great home. And she was fantastic at giving us a landing place to recenter ourselves, to be who we were. And she was great at that. And so all these homes that my dad have built are things that represent my family and how hard they worked and where they spent their time and all the joy we found. And when he built homes, he always said he built them for Jesus. And so he built these incredible homes, no matter if the people were nice or not during the whole building process. He just built really incredible homes that were gorgeous. And they're,
wow.
I mean, he just took the
These
time to do the craft work correctly. And that was a big lesson in my life. If you're going to do a job, you're going to do it right.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it all the way through.
And he probably was very planned out, whereas some other people,
yes,
they're not planned out. They're going to do it. They're going to do it right, but they've never heard about the 80-20 rule. Where in the reverse.
Right.
They're not going to do it good. Okay, 80-20 is a really good rule, and you and I probably had run up against that more than anything. I'm going to pause here for just a second.
Go for it.
But these days the quality is kind of going down.
And it's frustrating.
It really is.
And people still hire people who are willing to do less quality and not give it their all. And that's one of my biggest problems with today's time, is it's not about cheap and fast. It's about doing the job correctly.
Yeah, and I have to say my son has really kind of got a great idea. At first I was like, what are you thinking? But when he buys stuff, he buys good quality.
Yeah.
And he may spend a lot more money.
Yep.
But there's that part of the brain that's not being used, like, it's going to break, or it broke, and now I got to go fix it and all this.
Absolutely.
He's got a really great mindset.
I talk a lot about decision fatigue, especially in women. So we work so hard to make sure everyone is taken care of all the time. That's just our role, and it's just how our brain works. So I just showed my husband a video about how a woman's brain works, and he was done within 10 seconds of the video because he was like, this is exhausting.
Oh, no.
And at the same time, I'm so grateful for how my husband's brain works as well, because we need both of those things.
Oh, yeah.
But for a woman, they have to learn how to stop making so many decisions, actually. And you need to ask, too, is this a decision I'm supposed to make, or is it a decision someone else is going to make? I've stolen decision-making from my kids a lot, from my husband a lot. And I've taken that role on myself. That was theirs to make a decision, but I thought I knew better.
Yeah.
And whether I did or not doesn't matter, because they're allowed to make their own mistakes, too. But in our life, we've created a lot of things that take away decisions. So one of the biggest things we do is non-negotiables.
Yeah.
We will go to church every single week. We will work to get enough sleep every week. We will try to eat as healthy as we can, because we need those things to keep us going during the week.
That's incredible.
And there's other things, like we have a cleaning schedule. We know it's going to be clean on what day. There's days off purposely, because we know Tuesday's going to be a little bit more crazy than Wednesday, so we shift in that. But we know what needs to be done.
Wow.
We have a book of 4 weeks of rotating meals that we do, so that I have one shopping list that I buy, and then we just rotate those 5 set of meals every 4 weeks. We've just taken out decision making, because decision making is exhausting.
That's powerful. Man.
It is, and it's actually something we're working on. So I've, not to break my rules of 3, but I do have a new thing I'm working on that I'm calling Intentionally Home, because I want women to have that freedom to enjoy things and not have their mind running all the time.
Oh, yeah.
When I sit and play with my daughter with American Girl dolls or things like that, I find that I'm worrying about things that are coming down the line instead of just enjoying that moment with her.
Yep.
And part of alleviating decision making means that I don't have to think about those things, because they're already decided.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to learn a lot, and that's why I did this video, is because I knew I was going to get something good out of this. It's funny. Guys don't. I don't know. I'm kind of an oddball. The woman-guy thing. There's there's no barriers whatsoever. I think some guys think like, I can't let her be better than me. Well, okay, if you don't let her be better than you, she already is better than you, okay? You have to let go and be cruise, enjoy life, and like you said, take away those barriers.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. That's one of those things I don't think this guy can actually explain it. But because I respect women equally as I do men, and actually in some ways a lot better,
I get that.
then I think I'm going to get ahead faster than the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about what women and men do and how we need to be equal all across the line. And I understand where that's coming from. I thoroughly love that I am not equal to my husband and what he does in certain areas of life. And he is not equal to me for what I do in certain areas of life. If you could sit down with your spouse the same way that I teach women to sit down and really get to know themselves, they should know their spouse just as well. Because if we believe that things are meant to be, then you're designed to be with the person that you're designed to be with for a reason.
Yeah.
And once I stopped fighting, trying to make my husband into who I thought he was supposed to be and all the things he was supposed to be doing, and instead let him find who he was supposed to be, our marriage was significantly better.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
It is. He was created to do things that I'm not created to do in this world. And he has individual things, but we have team things too that we work on. And there is such a beauty when you love each other for exactly as you were made and come to the table with that instead of trying to fix each other.
Yeah. That, I think you're kind of, when there's a light from God that opens up and shines, boy, it's shining right here, right now, because of what you just said. If more people realize that, it's like the teachers that used to teach me. I wasn't really good at school, and it was because I was who I was. I'm really good at what I do. But they didn't recognize that. I'm lucky I've got a wife that recognizes that. She understands, I've got certain things that just don't work. They don't work. And so rather than beating this old dead horse or trying to change me, she's kind of like, she's a smart tool person. She figures out how to use the tool right. And just like you've realized that you can take Jesse and see the benefit of what he has and really go a long way. And together,
so much farther.
With your smarts and with the ability to do what you've done, you've built a career without a lot of support. And you didn't have that mentorship that you should have had. Yet you've actually really gone a long ways. That's impressive.
And I think a lot of the mentor I had was in my husband himself.
Wow.
For him to be able to look at me and say, this is a great idea, this is not a great idea. And Jesse had a rough road marrying me. So I was raised by entrepreneurs. I knew that if I was going to work, I was going to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He was raised by amazing people who went to work 9 to 5. Actually, I shouldn't say 9 to 5. Dave would go to work during the day, drive, and then Jill would meet him to go do the night shift, and they'd switch cars and switch kids.
Wow.
They worked so hard to provide for their family. And so Jesse was raised a very different way than I did. So when I said I was going entrepreneur route, him and his family, it was an adjustment of, what is she doing? But now I will tell you, Jesse would never go back the other way.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
I'm one of the guys that, I don't stop short of the corner. I want to see what's around the corner.
Sure.
So I've learned that in doing interviews and things like that for network television, if I let somebody kind of go places that I don't know about,
sure,
most of the time I'll get really good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I could
it's,
imagine those stories. That would be great.
Oh yeah, I mean sometimes you have to. Well, like I always got to film with these amazing companies, and one of the things they say is keep your path. But keep an eye off 90 degrees to the right or the left, because sometimes that is your path. Yeah,
it really is. I mean, like I think I said it before, I had a very different plan for where my life was going. And some of that, women will relate to this a lot, that we grew up in the Disney era of men saving us all the time. There's not a Disney movie of Aladdin or Cinderella or Belle or a Beauty and the Beast or anything like that. We were trained very young that we needed men to save us. And I took that.
You would have been in trouble with me.
Well, I took that and I put a heavy burden on my husband that he was supposed to be my rescuer from whatever I envisioned as a damsel in distress. And a lot of it too is because Jesse and I grew up together. We're high school sweethearts. And so we didn't have time to go and do our own individual searching early on. We grew up together. And so it's a strength and a struggle as we look back on it now. But there was a moment where I just decided that he was supposed to fix all my problems. And that was unrealistic and not okay to put on my husband. And it strained our marriage for a long time.
Well,
I get it. I totally get it, because when you're young, you got expectations. And I'm in a television career, right? And I have to look at it, and I find myself talking about, that's the worst people in the world. They're teaching our kids all this stuff. Because really, I think right now, and especially with all the television that's going on, and people seeing that, and also seeing the social media, we are not around our kids enough to even influence them anymore.
Right.
They're getting influenced 100% of the day at school, after school, when we're maybe not there, watching TV. And what do you do? I mean, I told my kids when you're young, when they were young, I said, just get an idea. Who you're around is kind of who you rub off and become.
That's true.
I said, if you take a white tennis ball and you throw it up against a wall, after, first time, no big deal, you don't see any problem. Take that tennis ball and throw it over there 100 different times, and all of a sudden that tennis ball is black. It's because you're getting a little. You don't realize how much it's affecting you. And right now it's kind of a tough time with the kids, because they got so much media providing them with what they're supposed to be like.
So much, and especially for, I'm sure there's tons of pressures for boys, but one thing I laugh at all the time, I didn't look like these girls look right now at 13. I was telling my son last night, let's look at yearbook photos, because I didn't have to try to live up to filters, and I didn't have to try to live up to, all the girls doing things way earlier than they should be doing in life. But the girls, what they look like now at 13 was not a burden I had when I was 13 by any means. I got to be a child still.
No, I totally get that. So I'm going to use this moment as something to spring off of here. I have been driving, and I have come up against road closed. I got road closed left and right. All right, man, this feels like entrepreneurship.
It does. I know, looking out ahead, it's like there's one path for right now, but there's going to be multiple paths ahead here soon.
Exactly. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break the rules.
Yep, and go down that road.
I'm going to go down that road, and I'm going to investigate.
I love it.
Okay, I know, because I know the law, I can come down this road if I'm doing local business.
Oh, there you go.
I'm doing local business. I'm talking to my real estate agent who's saying, don't go down this road.
As much as we get warnings not to go down the road, I talk about how I didn't have a lot of mentors, and the ones I had did sometimes lead me down difficult roads. But sometimes I found beauty in roads that were closed. And I found my own path that way.
That's right. My favorite saying comes from a guy who used to announce bull riding here locally. He says, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up way too much room.
Yes, I love that. Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, and here's another example. Okay, slow cars ahead. What do you do in that situation where you got a slow car dragging your business down?
I think you take a moment to try to get them to go with you, and if they're not going to, you're going to go anyways.
That's right. Yeah, I think too much of the time, it's like you were saying something about how your son and his social media. Where other people were kind of directing him on what to do.
And it became exhausting for him. Something that started as a hobby for him, when he wanted to do a social media channel and he chose YouTube, we made him say, why do you want to do this? What are you going to do with it? We watched his videos. We were very, very mindful of what he was doing. And then one day I just noticed he was really acting off, and when I thought about it, his attitude had been off for a couple weeks at that point. And all of a sudden, he and I just had a really great talk, and I realized he felt exhausted by what his subscribers were asking from him. They loved his channel. They wanted more of it. But all of a sudden, this 13, 14-year-old boy is trying to make everyone else happy. And then we decided to pause it, and the next day, he was so free. And it was a great moment to say, you know what, bud? You have to find your path, not what everyone else is telling you to do.
Exactly. That's good stuff. All right, so we've come to the end.
We actually hit road closed.
We hit road closed. We can't go any further. Lesson learned.
Yep, we tried.
All right, cut.
Colorado is growing substantially. I think what we forget sometimes is that does open up the door for opportunity, but for two different reasons. One is there's the opportunity to ask, what is smart growth? Every politician talks about smart growth, strategic growth. It's the big, hot words in government all the time. No one's really defined it, to be honest. And so smart growth right now is not really what we're doing. We've brought in, I mean, there's some communities that have grown by 246%. A community that I really admire, though, would be Windsor. And this works in business planning, too. Windsor sat down and they looked at their end result of how many people they'd be able to serve, and they wrote their plan backwards from there.
Oh, wow.
Their whole town plan backwards from there. So how much water will we need when we hit this many residents? How much sewer line will we need? And they really took the time to develop a backwards plan. And I hadn't thought about that before I heard them doing it.
Wow.
But to think about your end result, and something that my husband makes fun of me for is because I used to do interviews in the news and things like that. When I'm stuck on a problem, I think about when I'm interviewed for this one day, and they ask me questions, what will I say in terms of my answers? So when they'll say, how'd you come up to this? Or why did you do this? Or, well, what hurdles did you do and how'd you get around them? I'll just talk to myself like I'm in a news interview and talk it through and brainstorm those hurdles and how to get through them.
That's really good. And it's good for me to hear because I don't know, it's getting worse now, but I talk to myself. I
straight up talk to myself all the time.
Yeah, I put myself through these scenarios, and there's been events that you and I were involved with that I had to put myself in that situation, anticipate the outcomes so that I could actually deal with it properly. I think, people think I'm just I just kind of cruise along in life, and I don't want people to get that idea whatsoever. And that's why I try to describe a little bit of reality in my life when I'm posting on YouTube. When you're on television or you're on YouTube, people can over respect you, and I try to have
That's
people
very true.
and then they get false interpretation, false hope, or they get down about themselves. Why can't I do that?
Yeah, or they get down on you when you make a mistake. I've had that happen where and I've made the mistake of putting people on pedestals in my life.
Yeah.
And a couple people have done it to me, and then when I failed, they were so disappointed that I failed.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm allowed to fail, just like they're allowed to fail. But because they thought I was an expert on something, it really just blew up their vision of me when they realized I was human.
Exactly. I have literally told people, I say, because, this is kind of an interesting whole topic of this social media and television presence. Like Scott James, one time he told me, he said, people walk up to me, they just act like they know me.
Yep.
And, Scott's on the radio. I said, dude, do you not realize that person gets up, goes into the bathroom, gets naked, and you're there with her?
They know you. You might not know them, but they know you.
That's right. And so you have to kind of live with some of that. And the strange part of it with that social media, and I decided that I would go full on with it when Facebook's really started kind of kicking in, just so I could market myself. Well, I did, and I did it well, but I became known, and I had to deal with the same issues that other people on television were dealing with. Is people know you, they will say hi to you, and you can either disappoint them or make them feel great. And I had to coach a guy here just recently. I said, you don't have to know everybody, but you have to be excited to see them.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I'm going to steal that and tell my husband that, because he calls me Johnstown famous, because he goes to the grocery store and they'll be like, oh, how was this thing you did this weekend? And he has no idea how they know that, but it's because I put it up on social media and he doesn't do social media.
That's right.
And so he'll tell me that this person came up and I'm like, oh yeah, how are they? What are their kids up to? Things like that. He's like, I have no idea.
Oh yeah. Well, so back to that whole thing, and so people can understand the social media thing. We have a presence out there, and we can mislead people in thinking that entrepreneurship is this easy thing, and that we are brilliant at it. But they might just kind of have to step back and go, there's a reality. I am going to fail. I'm the type of person, I've failed more than anybody in this world. I could tell you 1,000 ways not to do something. I had to actually learn how to get a mentor and how to learn on that. And I have to say, YouTube is in a tremendous place to learn and learn quickly. You have to be careful you're not learning the wrong thing, but it's a good place.
You do, and you've got to vet and you've got to learn. There's 1,000 authority figures in my life that I trust, but I vetted them to be able to trust them. So I don't just listen to what they said just because they said it. Even though they're a mentor of mine, I'm still going to go double check a lot of things they said.
That's smart too. And that leads me to one really important thing about entrepreneurship. Right now there are a lot of self-proclaimed experts in a lot of different careers. And you can spend a lot of time and a lot of money invested in those people, and wrongfully so.
Yes.
So you really have to be careful about that.
You do. I just learned about this and I'm obsessed with it. So one thing people have told me continuously in my life that I am so grateful to hear, I take it as one of the highest compliments they could give me, is that I am authentic. And I am who I am, and I stay who I am no matter what situation I'm in.
Yeah.
And I am authentic. And I have just recently learned that the highest frequency that a person can give off is authenticity. Bigger than love, bigger than compassion or generous giving or anything like that. The highest frequency that can be read off of a person comes from authenticity. And I think that has to be one of the key factors of my success, is that I am who I am, failures and all. And I will say, I have been building my businesses for years. I have made more mistakes this year than I've ever made in business. And it has been one of the most challenging, and now that I'm at the end of it, one of the best years I've had in business.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
So
not financially though. I think we judge so much about, did we financially hit all of our targets?
Yeah.
I have been taught this year that it is not financial gain I had this year. It is healing of who I am. It is building other people up along with me. It is bringing together the right group of people at the right time. And that is where my success lies this year. And I'm really happy with that now.
And that is a good ending point. Amy, thanks so much for doing this. This is incredible. And I think people who are watching this right now are probably going, I want to move to Johnstown.
Yes,
I want to meet
move
Amy.
Well, I would love for them to follow me and talk to me, because I would really love to get to know them better, because my gift right now and my purpose in life, is guiding women home. And I want to focus on that, and I want to be there for them.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.